So, kind of relevant with what we were just talking about in the last segment, but people were mentioning that recently, and I didn't realize it was 6 days ago recent, Destiny and Cenk debated on whether or not Biden should drop out of the race. Now, I have been seeing over the last week this narrative about Biden needing to drop out of the race from, like, a lot of lefties even. Like, we just did a whole segment going over Vosh's videos talking about how he's made like 12 now in the last 2 weeks about how Biden needs to drop out of the race. So I want to hear like a more consolidated collection of some of the most informed and concise arguments for this side of things, like who should be replaced, what polling supports this, what argumentations. I want to see a really strong like debate about this topic, just to see where the sides on this are and what they have. So apparently this is Brianna Wu, Joe Walsh, Destiny, Cenk, and someone else I don't recognize. Dude, Brianna Wu went like kind of crazy. Like she went kind of crazy and like became a conservative from what I can tell. I haven't followed it very closely, but like I don't even know if she's supporting Biden. She might be on the Biden needs to be replaced side. Let's find out.
Performance a little over a week ago. Many have expressed concerns about not only his ability to win in November, but his mental competence and whether or not he's experiencing cognitive decline.
Who is Brianna Wu? Brianna Wu is one of the original targets of Gamergate from back in the day. Like, there was a full-on, like, documentary made about it that was, like, on TV and stuff. Back when Gamergate was legitimately, like, these weirdo dudes on message boards organizing harassment campaigns against, like, women in the, like, games industry or adjacent to it. She was one of the big targets, right? Like, it started out with Zoe Quinn. And then, like, Anita Sarkeesian might have become a target before Brianna Wu. I don't remember in detail. To me, that was like a very much like parallel line of events that happened.
The question becomes, should Biden drop out of the race? Or, despite this misstep, is he still the Democratic Party's best chance to beat former President Trump?
So here's the thing. Cenk, I think, is a grifter who has gone down the like just pursuing money conservative grift route, just like Anna Kasparian has. However, with that in mind, I've seen him debate before. He is capable of debating well, even if it's an incorrect position. So I'm hoping that we can hear some really strong arguments for why Biden should drop out here. Like, I want to hear strong arguments because, like, I want to know what the strongest arguments are. Yeah, like, if they're compelling, then I want them to compel me. And if they're strong but wrong, I want to know how to respond to them in the moment.
We've a great lineup today. With us, we are joined by Representative Joe Walsh, formerly representing the 8th District of the state of Illinois, Cenk from the Young Turks, and friends of the channel, Destiny and Brianna Wu. I guess we'll start with this. Representative Walsh, we're going to start with you. What are your thoughts on this, please?
Hey, good to be with you all. Look, the only thing that matters is Donald Trump cannot win. Donald Trump is un-American. He's lawless. He's a psychopath. He can't be anywhere near the White House again. That's all that matters. And we're at a point now where I don't think it's possible for Joe Biden to beat him anymore, because the issue has got to be Trump's.
Okay, this is interesting. The logic is that Biden, like, this is the line, is that Biden is such a weak candidate, we need to bully him out of office and out of the candidacy. And someone else, my niche candidate number 29,349,324 can. Yeah, that's the thing, though, right? It's like, someone in my chat the other day said Michelle Obama. Supposedly Michelle Obama had like 2 points over on Trump. So fair, but like, guys, do you really want to set Trump up to prevent the first ever female president a second time? Can you imagine how many times Donald Trump has nutted to the thought of the fact that he stopped the first ever female president from getting elected, despite her winning the popular vote. That he stopped that glass ceiling. You better believe it's one of his greatest life accomplishments is that he stopped that glass ceiling from getting broken. If he's able to do it again, but with a black woman, he might literally orgasm the entirety of his 4+ year presidency. Like, if he beat a black woman as the not based take, no, this is real as fuck. Donald Trump is a racist piece of shit and a misogynist who definitely takes joy in the fact he's prevented the first ever female president. I don't think Michelle Obama could win, and I would not want to give Trump the, like, internal joy of preventing the America's first black female president on top of stopping just straight up, like, America's first female president who won the popular vote as well. Like he straight up stole that from Hillary. You know, like she got more votes. Neutral take.
Unfitness. The issue cannot be Joe Biden's unfitness, i.e. his age. So I don't think Biden gives us the best opportunity to keep that psychopath out of the White House.
Mind you, Biden, once again, the only person to ever beat Donald Trump in an election. Even among other conservatives, the only one to ever beat him. Mind you, that said, Donald Trump is still in his weakest state right now. I don't think we should try and fix something that is so far from being broken.
Okay, thank you. And we'll get into it as we go, I'm sure. Next up, we have friend of the channel, Brianna Wu. What are your thoughts here?
So, I'll respect my good friend Joe, but I think something happened with his party is they lost the ability to be able to challenge, the powers within the party. And as a result of that, the Republican Party basically became a cult. We don't have that culture in the Democratic Party. And I actually think the conversation we're having right now is very, very healthy. It's a sign of a party that is not a cult. So I know it's very stressful right now. I've been yelled at.
I mean, that's somewhat, I guess, kind of true. I don't think it's a cult to have a generally unanimous agreement on a set of positions or an idea. I don't think that's cult-like. Like being like the scientific community has a 99.9% consensus that man-made climate change is real. I don't think that means it's a cult of science. The term cult in this context really feels like it's just being used by people that don't like Biden in the same way that a flat earther says the round earth cult. They recognize that they are on a somewhat numbers-wise small side of the discussion, an insignificant side of the discussion, because to be very clear, the majority of Democrat voters are not calling for Biden to step down. Because they're not calling for anything right now, besides, a certain set of wedge issues like Roe v. Wade. It just feels like it's one of those ways of discounting a consensus existing, right? Calling a consensus something more insidious. I don't think a consensus on its own is bad, but I think a consensus that you're not allowed to challenge is cult-like. So that's why I think she's probably on the money there. To be fair, I think she's been posting cringe, but that's an okay point. Is that, the fact that we do have these disagreements here over whether or not our current candidate and incumbent should be the next president when we are this close to utter decimation does speak volumes to how uncult-like the left is, at least as a point of comparison to the right.
All week. I'm sure everyone on this panel has been, but I think it's to our benefit. And I think it's worth remembering all of us are here for the same reason. We want to beat Donald Trump, and we realize democracy is on the
So true. I'm drama farming.
line. There are several things that really give me a lot of concern with this, but I don't feel as strongly as I think my good friend Cenk does. The first is a president that only has 36% approval rating is effectively unelectable, in my view. There's not a precedent for this. And even though I understand it's very tricky, especially the compliance compliance things with getting the money shifted around and building campaign offices and getting canvassing operations. I really don't.
That'd be in 4 months, by the way. They'd have to do that for a new candidate within 4 months.
See another good option at this point. As Joe said, the problem is Biden's health is going to dominate the news cycle from here on out. And every second we're talking about that, we're not talking about the existential threat that Donald Trump is to democracy. So, I feel like our odds are slightly better if we change candidates, but my mind could be changed.
Okay, we'll get into it as we go. Thank you for being here. Cenk Uygur, please, what do you got?
Yeah, this is the easiest decision of all time. He's at 36% approval when he won last time in 2020. Remember, he barely won the Electoral College by about 44,000 votes in 3 swing states, which is just a microscopic lead. And at that point, he had a 50.
To be very clear, by the way, Donald Trump's support base has not grown since then.
52% approval rating. Now he's at 36. I did the math on it. That's a 16-point difference. So the folks who look at the interview from last night and go, well, he survived. He answered the questions. That's not within a million miles of good enough. He has to make up a 16-point deficit in that regard. And guys, if you follow politics,
I unfortunately don't see another candidate coming out and just sweeping in the way that they need to. Biden very well could lose. It's possible. I don't think the pre-election polling is as reliable as Cenk Uygur seems to think it is. I mean, you guys remember what the polling was like for Hillary before 2016, right? Like, to the extent that the Democrat Party was practically asleep for that election. Like, it was like they handed themselves the trophy before the election even happened because the polling was so overwhelmingly favorable to Hillary. And then Hillary lost. She lost the Electoral College. And the results were not very in line with the majority of projections. And people were like, what the fuck? What happened? The projections were so clearly favoring Hillary. And there's a lot of reasons people have come up with for why it went that way. But just generally, I think it's just it doesn't really seem like there's much else we can do but try to combat the psyop that is hyper-focusing on Biden's irrelevant, like, stutters. Like, the reason for this low approval rating is that the media is enabling or is actively monetizing off of this anti-Biden, like, he's so old shit, because it clicks so much. It's the only thing about Biden that gets clicks is that he's old and shitting on him. You cannot talk about anything else in regards to Biden that is not shitting on him and get clicks. And these media organizations that dominate the sphere of what people believe in, like, the realm of politics, what opinions people are out there expressing, those that are tapped in, they are talking about how old he is because the media is. Because the media wants to make money off of that. Because it gets the clicks. It gets the drama. It's like, it has to be negative. Trump primed the 24-hour news cycle for 24/7 negative content coverage of the president. And Biden's not fucking up on a policy level. There's not really much to attack him for on a policy level. I've really yet to hear any arguments for how Biden has been lackluster in his fulfillment of his duty as president. And frankly, it feels like it's because people want to have this conversation and not the conversation about, like, why it sucks that the performance of Biden is not coinciding with his approval rating. And we should be trying to fight against that, not playing into it by also arguing that Biden needs to be replaced. Do you really think that the person that Biden gets replaced with won't get the very same media treatment? And won't be right back in the same position? They'll find something else.
You know, an incumbent under 50% is very likely to lose. Biden is under 40%. To my knowledge, no federal candidate in U.S. history that's an incumbent in an election year has ever won when they're in the 30s. So the opposition, I guess, that wants Biden to stay in, their main argument is Joe Biden is the most miraculous politician that anyone has ever seen.
The argument is that he's the only politician that's ever beat Trump before.
And he's going to rise from the ashes and not just stay stable, but make up...
What ashes? He's president.
16 points in approval rating. It's just la-la land. It's total fantasy land. This is we're having fun here to debate a thing that should not be debated, partly because...
I really do hope this ends up being like Tim Pool's 49 state landslide thing with Trump. I really, like, for so many reasons, I hope Biden wins just so it's like this doomsaying is proven wrong, and that like terminally online political pundits like stop overestimating how like what's being discussed and complained about in their sphere is actually what the entire of the American voter base believes. You got to remember, the majority of American voters are not voting on these polls. In fact, the majority of Biden supporters are the ones who have a predisposition to not be engaging with these polls because they are deactivated till November.
Mainstream media and the Democratic Party has created this mirage, and so we have to spend time
the blue mirage,
tearing
guys.
down this theater that's been constructed that is nothing but propaganda. It's been propaganda from day one. He's been disastrously behind. The debate only made it worse and made it more obvious. But if you want to run a race saying, oh yeah, I think that guy who looks like a cadaver is going to make the greatest comeback in American political history, you're basically saying, I don't mind Trump winning at all.
Mind you, these people were all behind, like, Bernie. Like, the people who are shitting on Biden for his age and looking like a cadaver, all behind Bernie. Bernie looks rough, especially these days, and he has as long as I've known of him, okay? I love how Bernie gets the pass, I guess, because he's Bernie. But to be very clear, by the way, if Bernie was ever president, that he'd be getting the same treatment too. There'd be the whole media cycle about his age and every stutter and misspeak he makes, and none of these pundits would care enough to look into his policy decisions because it's boring and dry, and no one would be discussing like how good of a job Bernie's doing. In the same way, no one's discussing how good of a job Biden's doing. Xander Hall, also Biden voters might not be saying anything because they don't want to get harassed online from all sides right now. Yeah, like who's out there? Like, no, it's not even that. It's that the people who are going to come out and vote for Biden are just not online. You got to remember that. It's the same thing as the primaries. Everyone thought that Bernie had it in the bag during the 2019 primaries because, I mean, look at the internet. Look, everyone wants Bernie. There are even conservatives online that want Bernie. But then you got to remember, though, the majority of Democrat voters are not online. They're not on Twitter. They're not posting on social media. And sure enough, Biden sweeps the primaries, and everyone starts making up conspiracies about how it must have been rigged, but it just wasn't. The actual silent majority of the Democratic Party supports Biden, his policies, his normalcy, and his relative, just expectation of what a president should be. He's not this like rapist, pedophile, screaming, lying, doddering fool who's also a fascist that Trump is, right?
I'm totally good with it. I just don't want to offend the feelings of the powerful. And that's really not a sound argument, to say the least. I'll be polite.
Okay. Well, thanks for that. And I'm sure we'll get into it as we go. Last, but certainly not least, Destiny. What do you have?
I think that there are two competing outlooks that we should keep in mind. Yeah. Or not competing, but concurrent outlooks that we should keep in mind when we're thinking about who.
Fucking hell. All right. I gotta tune my brain to catch up with the speed Destiny talks at like 1.25.
Who we want to be the Democratic nominee. For the first part, I think that it's important that we pick our strongest candidate. I hope, I'm not sure, but I hope that everybody here agrees with that we should put forth the strongest candidate who can mobilize the most votes for the Democratic Party. And right now, for reasons we'll get into, I think that for better or for worse is still Joe Biden. I also think it's important to keep in mind that when we criticize our party or when we criticize our candidates, I think that the only criticism that really matters are from people that support the party. There are a lot of people, there are a lot of voices. I believe Cenk is one of them. I'm not as sure about Joe Walsh, who are highly critical of Biden because of his debate performance. But before the debate performance, they were never going to vote for Biden anyway because of his position on Israel or Gaza or lack of, whatever minimum wage or.
Destiny's spot on there. Destiny's like really spot on here. This has all followed a very clear pattern of shitting on Biden. Nobody, like, I don't think anybody who's like following this believes that this is just a genuine out of nowhere concern for Biden's electability. Like this is like a hatred for Biden, specifically for being Biden.
Socialized healthcare or whatever other reason. So when you have people that are highly critical of these people, it's important to know that in their mind, their best interest isn't for the party, it's for whatever particular candidate that they like.
Wait, chill, Will. You weren't raiding Vosh's chat, were you? You heard what I said, that if I found out any of you were going into Vosh's chat and like causing a ruckus, you were going to get yeeted from my channel, right? Chill, Will. Don't tell me you did what I told you explicitly not to do. I'm friends with both of y'all. I didn't hear that. Okay, okay. All right. As long as you didn't say anything too crazy. Okay. You're subs of both. Okay, cool.
Which is why when we have these conversations, it's very.
I don't endorse any like harassment or anything. I just want to have like an actual, just like friendly debate about this because I think he's wrong and I think I can convince him maybe potentially. Yeah, I think I could. I think I'm a convincing guy. I believe in myself.
Very hard to get somebody to put forth another candidate that they think would be able to outperform Biden for a variety of reasons we'll get into.
Okay, I guess we'll start with that. For the people who say that Joe Biden should drop out of the race, who do you think should replace Joe Biden? Who do you have in mind?
Let's hear it.
Go ahead.
Well, I don't know. Maybe we should start with Destiny again because he apparently wants Trump to win. Because only a.
Oh my God. Okay, so we're. Cenk is a really bad representative these days of honesty and good faith. But man, if that represents the line for this side of the argument. Just straight up like accusing the people telling you to like get behind the current nominee to keep Trump from getting elected, accusing them of being I saw President Sunday trying to clout shark out this stuff and be an anti-Biden idiot. President Sunday's like a literal nobody. Why do you care? Like President Sunday's never going to be an anybody. Like, you don't need to worry about it. Trust me. I literally sat and watched as one of my friends went into VC to bully him on stream. It was very funny. The guy's completely unimportant. Why do you care?
Person so detached from reality would look at Biden and go, that's our strongest candidate. So I don't know where your allegiances lie. I mean, you just questioned our allegiances. So I desperately want Trump to lose. We all do. He's a maniac, total, utter maniac. But by the way, the clowns you support lost to him in 2016 and are getting humiliated by him in 2024. So we're
the clowns you support. Mind you, no, Biden did not run in 2016, and he did in fact win in 2020 and is the current sitting president. So we're really, like, we're digging deep into that, like, the DNC is an amorphous blob of a Democrat corporate agenda. We're basically dipping into like shoe-on head politics, like hyper brain dead populist speak that like means nothing. Hey, Pillow, thank you for the raid. Thank you. Honestly, I'm wrapping up stream in like maybe an hour or so. I was thinking of raiding into you. Let me know if you're down for FF14 today, by the way.
Where's your allegiance? It seems to me that I mean, look, I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but it almost feels like a false flag operation to say anyone who wants the strongest candidate for the Democratic Party is with Trump. Wink, wink. We should have the weakest possible candidate against Trump. Boy, I really want Trump to lose. Wink, wink. No, of course you should have the strongest candidate. How is this a debate? And if you think Joe Biden's the strongest candidate the Democratic Party has, you apparently despise the Democratic Party. You think even less of them than any Republican in the country. Are you telling me there's no one better than a guy who can't finish a sentence? This is preposterous.
So if you think
that feels so scripted. All right, let's hear Destiny's response. Hopefully he doesn't let us down.
So, I mean, if you want to talk about the jokes that we put up in 2016, I would awkwardly remind you that Hillary Clinton was beating Trump polling initially, which is the thing that you're weighing in heavily now is how they're doing the polls. And secondly, she had...
Holy shit! Am I already ready? He brought up like the first thing he brings up is a point I made 10 minutes ago in response to one of these arguments. The fact that Hillary was projected to dominate in 2016, and I have not pre-watched this, was predicted to dominate in 2016. She gave herself the trophy, and Trump still won. And everyone was like, "What the fuck? The polling means nothing. It may suggest a trend a month or so out from the election." But it really does not mean this much. Like, this is the equivalent of, like, getting an eggshell in the cake you're baking and deciding to throw everything, including the mixing bowl, away because, like, you might as well start over from scratch. Like, why? Just pick the shell out. It's not that hard.
Phenomenal debate performance against Donald Trump, something that didn't help her whatsoever when it came time to defeating him in the election. So, and these seem to be two things that you're weighing very heavily in choosing Biden or not. But to go back on the thing about supporting Biden, well, was it not the case that prior to this debate, you didn't want to support Biden anyway? Like, would you have voted for Biden over Trump prior to the debate?
They're going to lie and say yes.
I would never vote for Trump in a million years.
I didn't ask you to vote for Trump. I said, would you have voted for Biden? I asked, would you vote for Biden prior to this debate performance?
TYT's Biden coverage has been overwhelmingly negative and shitting on him since before this whole discussion. So obviously the polling being so low is not why they want Biden replaced. They've wanted Biden replaced for a while.
Over Trump, would you have voted for Biden?
So I think Destiny, I've been super clear. I ran against Biden. I think Biden's a terrible candidate. And I knew that, and you gaslit your audience the whole way. Oh, yeah, he could win in the 30s. He could win. He could win.
I still didn't hear an answer to that.
You have to bow your head and obey the officials in the Democratic Party. Who cares about beating Trump? Let's just obey.
I do want to make sure.
Oh, my God. It's so performative. What the fuck? This is like he's putting on a performance here. He's not even making any points. He's so desperate to appeal to, like, Hassan fans, I guess.
Clinton, you want to talk about Hillary Clinton in the polls?
I guess his nephew made him like a little pocket of retards on the left that are predisposed to think this is like the most genius argument they've ever heard in their life. Unfortunate.
Hillary Clinton did not have a 5-point lead. This is what I'm trying to get through your thick skull. The Democratic candidate needs a 5-point lead nationally in order to win the Electoral College. So when Joe Biden's down by 6 in the New York Times poll, he's down by 11.
The polling that these media organizations are doing is not the election results, believe it or not. And they do not poll every American. They don't even poll every American in every district of every swing state. It is a very small sample, and it has been wrong before.
He's got to make up 11 points in that. There's no way he can do that.
Okay, can I appeal to the moderator? Wait, I want to do a moderator appeal. Can you make him answer that question?
Yes, I can. However, I do want to hear from some other people who are trying to get in.
But also, I just want an easy yes or no. Would you have voted for him? That should be easy yes or no. I said, thank you. Would you?
Yeah, if it's between Biden and Trump, and those were my only two options, of course I was going to vote for Biden against Trump.
Thank you. Great. Cool. Okay, Joe, please.
Let me jump in real quick. Just speaking for myself, I'm not a Democrat. I'm a never Trumper. I would vote for Joe Biden if Joe Biden were 151 years old.
There are a lot of people like this guy. There are a lot of Republican non-Democrats that are just they've joined what's called the never Trumper train. They're Republicans that are more in line with like the politics of McCain or Romney. And, that pre-Trump era politics, pretty awful, but so far away from the literal coup-imposing demons that are currently running the Republican Party. And there are some human beings with souls that are Republican voters, and they are coming together to form the Never Trumper movement. It's been growing since 2016 when Trump won. Trump's been losing supporters since 2016. He lost enough to lose in 2020, and apparently somehow Trump is going to magically regain enough supporters to win in 2024, or I guess the argument would be more likely that Biden will be so bad and Trump will be so not bad that people won't be scared into voting for Biden again, as if they didn't already do it in 2020. The thing that arguably really cooked him happened after he lost 2022. Yeah, like J6 and Roe v. Wade all happened after Trump lost. You have to remember, some of the biggest hits to Trump that you can think of happened after Trump already lost. The Trump pedophiles that came out, the civil guilty verdict for sexually assaulting E. Jean Carroll, the 34 felonies, the fucking what else? The documents thing, it's just so much of this shit came after. Frankly, Roe v. Wade is the biggest. Like, Roe v. Wade getting axed by Trump's Supreme Court might be what decides the election for Biden. That alone might be all it took.
And couldn't get out of bed.
The Republicans have been backtracking on it too. They're scared. They're like, that's not a stone they can put back in its place. That boulder's rolling down the hill, and it might crush them. They got it started too soon, and people cared more about abortion than they expected, I think.
If he were running against Donald Trump. If Joe Biden stays the nominee, I'm going to run through a fucking wall to help get Joe Biden elected. Destiny, that's where I am, and that's where I've always been. All I'm interested in is, and this is a difficult spot, let's be real, because Democratic voters in a primary process selected him. I believe in that process. I'm appealing to Joe Biden because I think it's clear Joe Biden had only one issue he had to prove. He had one problem. Is he too old for this job? And if he could prove he wasn't too old, I think Biden would beat Trump. He didn't prove that the other night. In fact, he failed. So my fear now is he can't beat Trump. And so I'm appealing to him to step down and hand it to Kamala Harris, and away we go.
Okay. Yeah, and Stephen, this is a question I want to ask you, because this...
No, Kamala Harris I don't think could win. One of the most frequently brought up things about Kamala Harris is the fact that she was a prosecutor. That's not going to get Democrats to want to support her. I already thought it wasn't really the strongest point to make her VP. That was actually something that made me worried back in 2019. But we still pulled through. But Kamala is not liked by the crowd that is supposedly not willing to vote for Biden. Why would Kamala be the person to take his place? All right.
I really respect your opinion, and maybe you have a better answer for this than one I've been able to come up with. We're not just talking, we're almost talking about two questions here. It's who can beat Donald Trump? But the other question is someone actually has to be president. And something that's happened since the debate is we've seen a lot of clips of Biden back in 2020. He is markedly worse today than he was 4 years ago. Here are the situations we have. It's not just Israel. There's a very good chance China is going to attack.
Is he really? Is it really? Because this was one of the things that would not get fucking dropped back in the day. People would not drop this fucking shit. It's a really common thing, too. You just get it from rubbing your eyes. It happens to anyone of any age. But people were like, oh my god, he's literally dying on stage. He's dying on stage. Who remembers that? I hope you remember that. If you were around back then, you may. People were freaking out, saying he was dying on stage. His eye did not explode. No, it's just a burst capillary. It's literally just rub your eyes too hard, just a little bit, and it'll happen to you. It heals on its own and goes away after a few days. Yeah, it's a super normal thing. Happened to you when you were 12? Yeah. But yeah, people have been giving Biden, people have had the perspective that Biden is on his deathbed for so long now. It's it's like being a doomsday, a doomsayer, saying tomorrow's the apocalypse. Okay, now it's tomorrow. Okay, it's the next day. Now it's tomorrow. Okay, it's the next day. Now it's tomorrow again. Okay.
Taiwan in the next year or two. You have the Middle East that's still destabilizing. And, Biden, to his credit, has talked about his work bringing together coalitions in the international community, which requires a lot of travel. Can you genuinely say you're confident Biden will be able to do the job of president 4 years from now? Because I can't. And I look at my Twitter and me questioning Trump.
Okay, that is a really bad argument from Brianna Wu. Biden is doing a great job right now, which is the only thing that's really relevant, especially when, if he becomes unfit, we have several systems in place that remove an unfit president from office, put them into medical care while the VP takes control, and if he dies, the VP takes control. So what do you mean? If he stops being good like he's been on a policy level, unless you want to try to argue he hasn't been. And I know for a fact Brianna knows that Biden hasn't been, because before she went cringe, I talked to Brianna in depth about a lot of Biden policy things that are clearly good that she agrees with. So I doubt she'd say that. So I don't know. This seems disingenuous from her.
Trump's mental fitness for his entire presidency, I have to apply that same standard to Biden, and I'm just honestly finding it very lacking.
So if we were running 2024 Biden against 2020 Biden, I would vote for 2020 Biden every time, but we're not. Sure. It's Biden versus Trump, and then the question is, who's the best candidate that we can put up versus Trump? For questions of what happened after the election, if Biden wins, and for some reason he has so much cognitive decline that he can't run the country, I guess I would hope that he would step down, or somebody would, do an amendment challenge to remove him from office, but that's not really the question before us right now.
I agree.
The interesting question is, from all the people, also to be clear, I don't have, for some reason, I don't know why Cenk phrases this way, a fear of power or a deference to the institution of the DNC. I don't really care about any of these things. The challenge.
Have you noticed that the anti-electoral types are now trying to adopt the pro-electoral arguments and use it against pro-electoral people? Those that have consistently, such as myself, consistently said vote blue no matter who, back the current candidate, don't shit on the Democrat candidate that's running against the Republican fascist. suddenly now we're the ones who want Trump to win, according to Cenk Uygur, who are actually like they're basically trying to retool the arguments once used against them against the people that used those arguments against them. It's like the biggest, most blatant projection I've ever seen.
Is which candidate do you put up that we're in very uncharted territory when we talk about swapping candidates this close to the election. And I think that people are a little bit too reliant on, they'll find a good poll and they'll be like, oh my God, we could run, Kamala Harris or Michelle Obama or, whoever else. And it's like, man, there were polls that had, Hillary Clinton up like almost 15 points after the last debate that she did with Trump. And then, need I remind anybody that you have these shining star governors, Cuomo, DeSantis, who are like, oh, these are going to be like the new guard of the parties. And these people, Cuomo was destroyed almost immediately by scandals from his past. And DeSantis was destroyed as soon as he opened his mouth to talk to a potential voter. So the only thing that scares me is when people are so quick and keen to, put another candidate out there. It's like, man, this is an untested candidate in a national field for the most important election ever. And the only thing we're going to...
It's a good point. Who can we really pull from that's like tried and true? You know what I mean? Like, who do we know that can run for president, that has the experience to hop into the race 4 months out and sweep a W and not have it be a repeat of Hillary Clinton, who had the lead in all the polling and still lost, as if that can't happen to Trump somehow as well? Biden has been anti-Kamala being president. Wouldn't it be better to support of her, but reaffirm that's still the front runner? She's not the front runner. He is. He's the incumbent. He's got the incumbent advantage. What? Literally only Obama could pull it off and he can't run? Exactly, right? Like, I think, unironically, I wouldn't be upset if Obama just, like, came out of nowhere, like, just appeared and won. How crazy would it be? Like, I'm so sad I couldn't be a streamer during Obama's 4 years of presidency. It just feels like it would have been interesting and different. And how crazy would it be if we somehow got... Yeah, Obama with the steel chair! Like, imagine if we just had Obama randomly and magically get elected again for another 4 years in a post-Trump America. If we just give him 8 years.
Hear about the next 3 months or anything this person's done wrong, that's just a really scary world for me to be in. Maybe even more scary than a bad Biden debate performance.
Responses.
And by the way, just quickly, Brianna, I appreciate your point about Biden being able to actually govern if he were elected for another 4 years. But I agree with Destiny on this point. I don't give a damn about that. Yeah. All I care about is who can beat Trump and keep Trump out of the White House. If Biden beat him...
That's not all I care about, to be honest. Like, it's not that that's all I care about. It's more that that's my, like, first thing in my ranked choice vote of concerns with the election, is that, like, first and foremost, Trump must be beat because he is the worst. That's like the first and foremost concern, right? I would vote for fucking Elizabeth the Snake Warren over Trump to keep Trump out of office. But it's not just that. It's that I feel cheated by the lack of acknowledgement of Biden dealing with so many problems that have been touted by me and so many others in this space as serious issues that need to be acknowledged by the sitting president. And then when Biden acknowledged them, Biden's acknowledgement received no acknowledgement. It's like, okay, well, did you care about the insulin thing if you didn't cover Biden doing the insulin thing,
And Biden stayed in the White House and he could only be president for a year, well, then, heck, he has a vice president who will become president. I don't care about that. I care only about keeping Trump out of the White House.
Okay, I want to pass it to Cenk. I'm sorry, Cenk, he has some things to say. Go ahead.
Yeah. 80% of the country thinks that Joe Biden is not mentally healthy enough to serve. You're going to run that guy? You know what that means? That means 8 out of 10 people in America think that his brain is not functioning well enough to be president. To think that that's our strongest candidate is...
I would love to see them try to defend the claim that Biden is not, like, strong enough to run or, like, strong enough to, like, do the job of being the president. But they're going to fall back to, well, that may not necessarily be true once you start challenging them and bringing up policies and trying to make them disagree with those policies. And they'll fall onto, it doesn't matter whether or not the belief that Biden is unfit is accurate or not. All that matters is that the voters believe it, which, to be fair, there's truth in that. But the idea that insert however many people don't think Biden is fit to run, that may not have as huge of a bearing on whether or not that means they think Trump should take that place as well. That doesn't mean that they think Trump is fit to run.
Just mental.
Can I ask?
Totally, utterly mental.
Sure.
I mean, it's an alternate reality. It's blue MAGA. It's blue MAGA on steroids.
Blue MAGA.
8 out of 10 Americans think that his brain isn't working. I mean, and we're going to run that guy? Why don't you just say, I love Trump and I want Trump to win? Because that's what Trump's saying. That's what MAGA's saying. Go look at social media. They're like, please keep Biden. I'm begging you, keep Biden. So it's this idea of devil we know versus devil we don't know. But look at this conversation you guys are having. So, like, can Biden finish 4 years? And you guys are saying, who cares? But you're not going to win an election by saying, yeah, our guy probably can't even finish 4 years, but who cares? Vote for him anyway. That is not a winning strategy. That is an obviously disastrous strategy. I cannot believe that anyone's making that point. Guys, think about the convention. If Joe Biden's still the candidate by then,
I love how the folks who complain about why we shouldn't vote for Biden in 2020 are now on the crowd saying we have to replace Biden in 2024, not because we have a grudge against him and don't care to give him a fair shake. And we're participating in the wave of like sensationalist Biden coverage over like every stutter and mushmouth moment he has. It's very clear that this is not a genuine desire for Trump to lose. It's a desire for Biden to lose.
They chant 4 more years, everybody's going to be embarrassed. The Biden team's going to be like, shh, you're reminding everybody that we have 4 more years with this guy. There's no chance in the world that America is going to put in a guy into the Oval Office when they don't think his brain is working.
So who's the alternative?
Already over. Let's pack it up.
Who's the alternative then?
Easy.
That's easy. So
that's easy.
Let me explain. So yeah, it is. It's easy on 2 fronts. Number one, this whole fear mongering about, hey, what if the other?
Who would be the candidate we replace Biden with? That's easy. And then goes on a tangent. Let's see if we get an actual answer.
The other guy is even worse than a guy whose brain doesn't function. You don't think there's a single person in the Democratic Party who has a brain that's functioning? Of course there is. Of course there is.
See that? No, he forgot that he's supposed to be pretending that his objective is to stop Trump from winning there. And he didn't, he just argued, well, we just need to find someone whose brain functions. That's not how it works. That will not change up the polling.
Okay, so now the process. The process is just like it's always been until 1972. The delegates go and they vote in an open convention.
Mind you, one of the things that probably won Biden the election in 2020 was his familiarity. The fact that people already knew him and he already had a reputation. And why would that become his biggest weakness this time around? I don't know.
What's the big deal? Oh my God! Hold on. It'll be a mess. Mess how? Oh my God! You'll have the whole country listening to a bunch of Democratic politicians defend Democratic policies and get billions of dollars in free media to Democratic politicians and Democratic policies. How is that bad? It's terrific.
Sure. So we should have another primary.
Yeah, well, what you have to understand right now is that this election year was like the golden light on the horizon. So many lefty content creators online were looking forward to as like what would revitalize the relevance of left-wing politics on the internet and like quell the Chud era that's happening. But it didn't happen. Biden is not like the left-wing Trump. He doesn't bring out like crowds of leftists to scream his name and rip their shirts off and get him tattooed on their bodies. He gets votes. He wins elections. But he doesn't bring out that hype. He doesn't actually have a blue MAGA cult, you know? And because of that, you kind of have this, they're disappointed that they didn't make as much money in the primaries and aren't going to make as much money or get that big bump that was expected this year. It's going to be at least another 4 years till the online left politically has the relevance it did in 2020 again. And for some creators in this space, the era that we're in of left-wing politics falling off is not sustainable. It's just straight up not. And, I'm doing somewhat okay. I've taken some pretty big hits, but I'm doing all right. But it's definitely a rough time, and I could see a future where half of the content creators on the online left now aren't making videos in a couple years because it's just not getting enough viewership. It's not making enough money. They got to go work at 7-Eleven, right? It sucks, but that's, I think, where things are headed for a lot of content creators in the left, and they're seeing this as an out, to like capture a hyper niched audience and use this as an out.
There you go. Last thing on that. So once you go through that process, the person who won the most number of delegates is likely to be your strongest candidate. That's the whole point of the convention process. So why don't we go with the strongest instead of the weakest?
So if
These are relatively easy things to decide.
If I may interrogate that for a moment, Cenk, when you say that the convention should decide, do you not fear or worry that that will be seen as an undemocratic process where the DNC elites are just simply picking who they want, anointing them?
No. Go ahead, Cenk. That's the very definition of how these parties work. Remember, none of this happens if Joe Biden doesn't say, I'm not running. If Joe Biden says, I'm no longer running, then there's a process to pick a nominee.
But don't you worry, to Walsh real quick, Congressman, back in 76, Reagan made a challenge on the convention floor, despite the person not running, right?
You know what this reminds me of? You know what this is? This is Force the Vote. Who remembers Force the Vote? That's what this is. It's a big meme virtue signal meant to drive up clicks. Wait, you're so right. Yeah, this is literally Force the Vote too. Holy shit. It just hit me. The dialogue, the vapidness, and the populism all kind of like came together in my mind, and I remembered this is just Force the Vote again.
Do you not worry that even if Biden says, I'm still going to run, that there won't be some challenges from contenders during the convention?
Oh, if Biden says he's going to run?
Yes, I'm still running.
No.
You don't think anyone will challenge him?
No, I believe if Biden stays in, there will be zero challenge at the convention. And by the way, if Biden steps down, hopefully, I think, as Cenk said, there will be a raucous, divisive convention. But my God, we live in fucking unprecedented times. This is exciting. We're going through something. I mean, embrace this. It's different.
Okay, Cenk wanted
That guy's loving this. That guy's just enjoying politics right now.
Get in, and then I'll pass it to the rest.
Yeah, I mean, look, guys. First of all these things about like, back in '76, Reagan hurt the chances of the party, and Kennedy hurt the chances of the party when he ran against Carter, and all this nonsense, right? Okay, so wait a minute. Were they running against a guy that 8 out of 10 Americans thought that person's brain had stopped functioning? Of course not. It's like that Fleischman clown that's going around. I predict I have the 13 points. Yeah, but brother, the 14th point is the guy's mind working or not? 8 out of 10. It doesn't. And guys, it doesn't matter what we think on this panel. The jury's in. 8 out of 10 Americans say not mentally healthy enough.
What he means by that is it doesn't matter if Biden is actually mentally healthy enough. It's that the American people have been convinced by the media that is hyper sensationalized Biden's health, including his media organization he owns. And so the fact that he has successfully convinced the American people of something that isn't true, to be completely honest, at least based on what like medical professionals and doctors are saying, they say Biden has an aging brain and Trump has a dementing brain. So yeah, I don't, yeah, it's an appeal ad popularum, but it's also not even like, it's not really, I wouldn't even say that because we're talking about elections, so it's somewhat valid. But in this case, it's the polling that has proven itself wrong before, especially when the candidate who takes that polling and decides to just coast to what they think means a victory, like Trump is right now, it does not generally go well for them.
Good night, Irene. It's already over. So the only question is can the Democrats miraculously resuscitate a campaign to give Trump a challenge? And the way to do that is already built into the process of the convention. And this whole idea that, it'll be divisive. So what?
That's great. That's great.
Like, so you're going to have different Democrats saying, hey, I want higher wages. No, I want higher wages for the average American. No, I want tons of health care for the average American. No, I want universal health care. These are all great things. I mean,
Cenk has lost an election, by the way.
One last thing. Look at 2016 when the Republicans had a mess and it was super chaotic and they were talking about penis size and all this craziness and they won. And they won.
And look, I'm the only, I think, former Republican on the panel. I was a Republican congressman, a Republican candidate for president. I was a Republican from my whole life. My former political party has become a cult, right? Like they don't, there is never any public questioning of the fitness of their leader. I think what the Democratic Party is going through right now is healthy. And if they went through a really raucous convention, if Biden stepped down, that would be healthy. But I need to back up for just a second, because Destiny, I want to understand and appreciate why at this point you still think Biden would be the strongest candidate. Help me with that.
Okay, he's not.
I mean, he can run on his record. If we have a new candidate that's in, you have no record that you can run upon anymore. He beat Trump once in an election. How relevant that is to the next one is, I guess it's hard to say. But those are two things that are now completely tossed if you start running.
It's not even that he's beat Trump before. It's that he's the only one to ever beat Trump before.
A new candidate. Another factor is that, Cenk keeps saying over and over again, like 8 out of 10. What? Yeah. Real quick. Cenk keeps saying like 8 out of 10 Americans don't think that, his brain is working, blah, blah, blah. That's fine, but the polls don't reflect that. I mean, look at the popularity that Donald Trump enjoys, and they don't even care if his brain is working or not, right? We're told over and over again to take him seriously, not literally. Like, they make excuses for him not even being able to speak, which, he stumbles through a ton. So yeah, again, I'm not like allegiant to Biden, but the idea of just throwing a whole new candidate up and the idea like, oh no, the primary process will produce something so good and we'll all unite around that candidate in a big kumbaya afterwards. I totally don't see that happening.
So can I jump in on that?
If anything, doing another primary 4 months out from the election would be the most dividing, catastrophic thing ever for the Democratic Party. That would be horrible. Imagine like all of the animosity of a primary, but the election, the proper general election, is in like a month. Could you fucking imagine that, dude? Like barring the polling stuff and whatnot, like how like little time there would be to campaign and stuff. We probably want to wrap this up soon, because this is multiple hour-plus long segments we're doing today, and my editor's going to beat me with hammers when he finds out. He won't be pleased. Internal leadership vote animosity really hurt the Tories in the UK. Yeah, it really, like, this feels like a repeat of stuff I've heard going on in the UK, ironically. Yeah, I think France, too, had some shit like this happening. What? No, not France. Fuck, it happened recently. It's going like full fashy right now. Like Poland or something?
Because I agree with Stephen on multiple points here. The compliance stuff is something we are really not examining enough. Joe, this.
Oh, it is France. Okay, I'm right. Never mind. My first thing I thought of was right.
Better than anyone here, all those donations, they could go to Kamala Harris, but even if Biden starts a super PAC, it can't coordinate with campaigns. So, Stephen, better than anyone, the individual can go out there, get the data, run your own canvassing operation, but I think it will obviously be diminished if it cannot coordinate, right? It can put out ads, it can do all that stuff. That's going to be difficult. Another thing that I think, respectfully, Cenk, you're discounting a little bit, is the media has not really dug in on any of these other candidates that we have and really vetted them. And every single one of them has some liabilities that we need to think about. As far as Gavin Newsom, who's married to Kimberly Guilfoyle, I don't even want to imagine what stuff is going to come out with that. Kamala Harris, the right-wing media has decided she's kind of this dim-witted aunt, once they go into full attack mode on her, is going to be a white supremacist running against a black woman, right? You look at Raphael Warnock, there's some stuff there they can go after. And I'm not saying it's a bad idea necessarily.
Dude, I'm listening to the clip of Vosh going full childish dickhead about you right now. Holy fuck, I'm mad. Did he really? I haven't seen what he says about me, but based on what chat said, apparently it was pretty rough. We'll have to give it a listen.
I'm saying as we're figuring out our calculus of who is the strongest candidate, it is just simply true that we know where the bottom is with Biden, and I'm less certain of where that is with these other candidates. And that money challenge is not a minor thing. So what I need to see moving forward is I need to see Biden with his head less stuck in the sand, with a credible plan to turn around this huge deficit that he's got, because on the course we're on, he's not going to win. And if we keep this playbook that he was using last night, we're going to fail. And it's not just Biden that's going to fail. We're going to lose Senate Democrats. We're going to lose the House. And we're going to lose local races. But I also need to see, if we do replace him, I need to see a credible plan to bring up that fundraising, build new field offices. Like, whatever we do, we need to figure it out quick.
I actually...
What's hilarious is that, like, Biden, as far as, like, having the resources to campaign, is one of the strongest, too. Didn't Biden end up having, like, a big campaign event that raised, like, several times more money than Trump? Like, a big part of it isn't even, like, there's so many levels to this, but on top of that, Biden has more money to campaign with incessantly in the swing states that Trump just doesn't have due to all of his legal shit. Biden is like the polar opposite of Trump's financial situation in regards to his campaign. If we throw out Biden, I mean, I guess maybe they're DNC donations, so do they go to whoever replaces him? I mean, Biden's the one who got those donations, so I feel that, I don't know. Yeah. When he doesn't listen to anything you say, it says you're drama mongering and that you're willing to turn on him because it's favorable to you right now. Okay, in that case, that's probably not good. That's probably not a good sign. If he just immediately assumes that, like, I'm turning on him. That's... Why does he think I was loyal to him? I hope he doesn't think that, because I call out my friends when I disagree with them. It doesn't have to be, like, the end of the world, but whatever.
Think, and Cenk and I may disagree on this. I think Kamala Harris would have to be the nominee. And by the way, Brianna...
Just watch the clip, never take chatters at their word. Good point, K-Fro. But to be fair, Balth is like my buddy, IRL.
Kamala Harris would get all of that money. Let's remember something. It's not the Joe Biden re-election campaign. This is the Biden-Harris re-election campaign.
Sure.
If the president of the United States says, I can't do it, I won't do it, Biden picked her 4 years ago. Biden was going to be the bridge. Biden has to embrace her and endorse her. And in a weird way, maybe...
He said he won't debate you because I only would want to debate him for monetary reasons. Wait, he doesn't want to debate? That's actually fucking crazy. There's no way he's not willing to debate this. If he's actually not willing to debate this, then I think he might actually be... I'm gonna watch the clip. I'm gonna watch the clip.
I'm shooting my own argument here, Destiny. I really don't believe it. It almost doesn't matter who the Democratic nominee is. I believe there are more people in this country who oppose Trump than support him. So in a way, I think if you put Kamala Harris up there, I think this coalition of Tea Party never Trumpers like me, all the way to progressives, I think we're going to get enthused and we're all going to get behind who that candidate is.
As a quick thing on that, I actually think I agree with you. Like famously people refer to polling where if you have a generic Democrat versus Trump, he outpolls everybody until you start putting names in. If you could find me somewhere in the country, a Democrat who steps out of a clone machine, who is 50 years old with absolutely no history on planet Earth, and then he runs and there's nothing to dig into, then I was like, you know what? Maybe we run that guy. But it's just, even if there are like minor scandals or minor issues, I could just see people fix.
Ideally, we could do what this suggestion is, like replace Biden with someone stronger who's better even, and they win, right? Like, that's ideal, but it just isn't realistic, right? Like, it's not a, like, conceptually bad thing that could be done. It's just a self-destructive, unrealistic thing to do that would probably not work out well.
Fixating so heavily because we only have a few months to the election on whatever thing comes up, and that becomes the new talking point. So in my mind, Biden is essentially that generic guy to some extent. He just has to not be buried by the cognitive decline. But other than that, like his incumbency, his record, like these things are so strong, and the fact that he's already beaten Trump in an election one time before are strong things to lean on.
Right, but that's why, and then I'll give it to Cenk. That's why Cenk's point is so important. Biden's problem now is he's unfit. So many Americans now believe because of his age, he's unfit. This campaign has to be Trump's unfitness. Biden almost now has negated that, and I don't see how he gets it back. That's not just he's got one skeleton in his closet or he's bad on an issue. This is like humongous, and I don't know how he gets over it.
I'm going to give it to Cenk real quick, but after I do, I have a question both for Destiny and for the other side here. So Cenk, if you have some responses to what's been said, I'm going to give you the floor, but then I want to be able to ask my question, maybe move this along a little bit. Go ahead.
Yeah, I have a lot of responses. So first of all, I want to double down on what Brianna said on the dangers here. At this point, it would be a landslide win for Donald Trump. He's into the non-swing states. The poll that the Democrats accidentally leaked shows Biden losing 3 non-swing states and in the danger of losing 6 non-swing states. So down ballot will be disastrous. That's why Congress is panicking as we speak now. So if things go as they are, the Democrats will hand Trump Congress easily, all of Congress, and a mandate. There is no scenario that is worse than that. So right now,
I really do love that, like, the organization that is currently known for taking a hard right pivot to try an appeal to a conservative audience. I mean, we know what Anna Kasparian has been up to. I love the idea that all of a sudden they're trying to convince us that their prolonged criticism of Biden is simply because they want what's best for the Democratic Party's chances of beating Trump. The guy who a now significant amount of their fans are going to be voting for.
We're at a 0. We can only go up. So I need people to stop believing in the hypnosis that Joe Biden has any chance of winning. Because if you think that he has a 45% chance of winning, oh my God, I'm a little worried he's off by 5%, you're going to make the wrong decision. He has a near 0% chance of winning. So Destiny, you say, hey, 80% of the country, you acknowledge that he thinks they are worried about his mental health, but you say it's not showing up in the polls. But brother, it is. Because as you guys are showing here, now I think at least 2 people, maybe up to 4 or 5 people on this call have said that, hey, if Biden is like brain dead, you'd still rather vote for him. Well, that speaks for at least a third of the country. So where the election is being held is with independents that are in the middle. And Biden has now lost way too many of them. He's not going to lose blue MAGA. Trump's not going to lose red MAGA. But there's a big number.
Blue MAGA. It's so disingenuous, dude. Why would there be a cult for Biden? There's the only thing special about Biden is, I mean, he's probably been the most progressive president we've had, I guess, but he's far from like ideal. You know what I mean? Like I could snap my fingers and imagine a million scenarios where Biden could be doing better than he is now. I mean, like, he's not special. He's not like there's just not like, he's not special. He's just the guy who's there, has beat Trump, does a good job, knows how to present himself at least better than Trump does. I'm so far into blue MAGA, I think it's fake, I guess. Jesus.
In the middle, and now they have swung massively towards Trump in a way that is unrecoverable. That is why, in effect, he's down by 11 in the New York Times poll, and his favorability is so disastrous. Again, it's literally never been done before by an incumbent to come back from this far behind. So when you talk about vetting the candidates, look, I'm not Pollyannish. Will there be things that come up? Of course, but that's very, very normal politics. So I don't, for example, Kamala Harris. I don't think she's a good candidate at all. I think the idea of anointing her is preposterous. So you're right, Joe, I don't agree with that at all. But on the other hand, if she wins in an open convention, and she would be the favorite to win an open convention since she's part of the Biden-Harris team, she earned it, and it makes her stronger. It makes her more credible. So we should go through the process that exists instead of doing the same mistake the Democratic Party does every single time. We are anointing a leader because we are geniuses. At the DNC, we're super smart. We're the ones who picked Hillary Clinton and Joe Biden in 2020.
Hold on, wait. Can you justify that? What do you mean? You keep saying anointing a leader. Hillary Clinton won the primary. Joe Biden won the primary. What is the anointment we're talking about?
Yeah, so easy to answer. In 2016, the DNC doesn't say, hey, I'm not, although in 2024 they did, and I'll get to that in a second. Hey, I'm not having an election. Instead, they do things like, oh, let's plan the smallest number of debates, morons. You gave up hundreds of millions of dollars in free media coverage. The Republicans swooped in and had a ton of debates, got all that free media coverage and used it to win. And they put the debates up against football games late at night, et cetera. So that's a small part of it. Another part of it is that they laundered money, and this is a proven fact, through the state parties. The giant rich donors basically cheated and got the money to go to the DNC and then to the, not the DNC, but the Democratic state parties, and then go to Hillary Clinton. That was favoring one candidate over another. And of course, we're not even talking about the 800-pound gorilla in the room, which is mainstream media. Corporate media loves corporate.
Dude, really? Okay, so what I really feel just kind of exemplifies the dishonesty in Cenk's argument here is his appeal to the mainstream media supposedly favoring Biden. Can you think of a single site that isn't headlining Biden's gaffes right now as like the most like world-ending thing, just like Cenk Uygur is here? He is part of that mainstream media peddling the same shit. He is that crowd that he is pretending to criticize. It's Alex Jones shit through and through.
Democrats like Biden and Hillary Clinton.
Yeah, I don't like none of this. Yeah, this is all. Just to be clear, this is all.
Okay,
Hold on.
Yeah,
One at a time.
it's
One
all
at a time. One at a
bullshit.
time.
Let me answer the question.
Answer
Okay,
the
so
question,
you
but
guys
then we gotta
think-
get to the rest. Yeah.
Yeah, I get it. You guys think, oh, the DNC cheating for corporate Democrats is great. It's wonderful. Wonderful. They should tilt on scale. Yeah, lead on the scale. We don't want a populist who's had a 12 point.
He is such a disingenuous man-child, Cenk Uygur is. He really, really is. I never liked him going back to like his meltdowns back in the day. And like even when he was more agreeable, I never thought he was my favorite dude on TYT. And now he's just like earned himself the top position on my mid list for the day.
Point lead against Donald Trump. We don't want to win because you know
that the most mid.
That an economic populist is way more dangerous.
Who's the economic populist with a 12-point lead to Donald Trump?
Well, in 2024, what do they do? I know because I was in the primary. They're like, oh, the Florida primary canceled. Biden is unilaterally the candidate from Florida. In North Carolina and Tennessee, there's a sitting U.S. congressman in the primary. They're like, yeah, I don't care. We're not going to put anyone on the ballot because they cheat in every way. They hate democracy, and it's so ironic that their tagline for this election is "Protect democracy," as the DNC has stomped it out everywhere they could find it, and that is why they pick loser, super weak candidates because they do this dumbass anointing instead of just having a.
This is the carryover rage of thinking that like Bernie could have beat Trump when he couldn't beat Biden. There's all these conspiracies about how Biden could have beat Bernie when like because they live in a fantasy world where the internet is representative of like the entire electoral base, and so like the right-wing dominance of the internet right now means Trump must win basically, and everyone's shitting on Biden, so that must be how every American feels. Meanwhile, like even during the primary, Biden's support was so non-existent online, and he just came out of nowhere and won from the perspective of people who thought the internet could predict elections. $20 says he's just mad he didn't win the primary even though he couldn't have won the election. Of course, yeah, he's so salty.
Fair contest where everybody can vote and have a fair shot at it.
Jake, just real quick, do you throw your name in the ring when it comes to the Democratic convention?
No. That's a really important question.
Wait, am I able to respond to my simple question that you answered?
Can I answer the question? So the reason I ran in the primary was because I accurately.
Do you think Bernie couldn't have beaten Trump? I don't know if Bernie could have beaten Trump, unfortunately. The socialism stuff is a really sore spot for even a lot of progressive Democrat voters. It's a big part of what lost him a lot, and a big part of it was that I don't know why, but when you looked at the demographics, there was this narrative that like POC were behind Bernie. Bernie's supporter base was really white, like young and white, and surprisingly affluent, while a lot more working class POC flocked to Biden. That fact sounds insane if you listen to the internet. But the fact is, that's what happened. Like, Georgia went hard to Biden primarily because Atlanta, which is like, 90% black or something like that, went hard for Biden, right? We got Georgia because of how high Biden's approval rating among black American voters was. Yeah,
Assess that Joe Biden had no chance of winning. By the way, wait.
Bro, I can't keep listening to Zan live on fucking Jupiter. Please go outside and touch some grass, Spade 011. When you talk to some real life people, you will find that the internet actually is not real life. It'll surprise you.
Apologies for all the people who were wrong and said, oh, no, you're ridiculous. Joe Biden has a great chance of winning. Oops. Okay. So I ran desperately to get someone else in the race. I said it on the first day that I announced my campaign, and I said it throughout. Let's go. If we could somehow rattle this race enough, the Democratic governors will come in. Look at Andy Beshear. He's sitting in Kentucky. In Kentucky, he won twice. He has a really good track record. Shapiro has a good track record in Pennsylvania. Whitmer would almost guarantee Michigan. Why don't we take a much higher chance of beating Donald Trump instead of a 0% chance of beating Donald Trump?
Okay, I want to pass it to Destiny. He said he wanted to answer.
Yeah, sorry, I shouldn't have asked that question. My bad. So it is a democratic process that turns out our candidates, and that's where these candidates have come from. I think that people speak in thinly veiled, unhappy tones about who the candidate is because they prefer their particular populist or their particular progressive because they think if we just put him on the general, even though he gets destroyed in the primary, somehow he's going to win the general election. And if you look at these...
Holy shit. Huh. Maybe I should have just let the video play and I wouldn't have had to rant for like 10 minutes about how like this is clearly carryover rage over Bernie losing the primary and a lack of ability to accept that Biden was the more popular candidate, even when it comes down to like the general is so different from the primary and the strife within the Democratic Party when election day actually happens. It's
hypothetical polls where they put up a candidate who has not even been nationally tested against the current guy who's on the other ballot. He would have won a ton, but that's just not true. If we're going to talk about an anointing process and we're going to say that Hillary Clinton was the one who was chosen, why did Obama beat her? Unless Obama magically became the anointed candidate in 2008, but in that case, why couldn't Bernie Sanders have become the anointed candidate when voters started to prefer him? It's because progressives and populists are not popular on the Democratic side. Thank God. Okay, they are not popular on the Democratic side. And also the idea of somebody talking,
he's so mad. He's so salty about his lefty arc. He's so salty. He hates leftists so much. I mean, remember, guys, Destiny is not perfect. Far from it. He is on like a spite-fueled hate arc against progressives. He hates Bernie. He hates like the squad, I think, as well now. He is far from perfect, but at the very least, he's good at arguing for why Biden should win because he hates Trump.
About like, oh, these candidates are, the Democratic Party is stealing the election because they're not willing to primary their own candidate. I'm sorry, where were the Republicans' primaries against Donald Trump when he was running for re-election? You just don't primary your candidate. There's nothing undemocratic about that. And deciding when you want to hold debates and not, taking seriously every single, 1 percentage point polling candidate seriously and hosting debates and wasting money.
Oh. That's not YouTube. That's TYT having random buffering in their upload. What? Did their internet drop?
We want to win. We want them to win if you support the party, or at least what the party stands for. So
why? This isn't YouTube. The video's still playing.
None of that is undemocratic. Nothing was undemocratic about Bernie or any populist losing the elections. These are the results that our system, for better or for worse, have given us in as democratic a manner.
Dude, did they start cutting up the footage when Destiny was talking? This is TYT, by the way. TYT was live streaming it. Do you think they started clicking the stream on and off when Destiny was talking because he was making too much sense? I mean, this is literally, like, it's Cenk's probably, like, running the stream, if not somebody who's, like, answers to him and is paid by him. Or there's just no quality control, maybe.
As they can reasonably do.
Response? Yeah, just to be clear, nobody's pulling a MAGA and saying they cheated on the votes. Nobody cheated on the votes, okay? But
yeah, they are.
Not
They're
acknowledging
saying
the
they
fact
did
that mainstream media...
Yeah, you are. Yeah, you are. You absolutely... There was so many conspiracies about how Bernie didn't lose the primaries, and it was like, who remembers the idea that like one of the primaries was decided by a coin flip? That was completely made up, by the way, but like that was one of the excuses for like how it didn't go to Bernie when he should have won, right? Like I think he should have won. I mean, I would have liked that. I don't know if he would have won the general, but I would have liked to see like that go down. Make the try. President Bernie would go hard, but like, it just didn't go that way.
In other words, corporate media absolutely loves Hillary Clinton. They loved Joe Biden until a week ago. They love Barack Obama, and they despise every progressive.
You know what was rigged against Bernie? A lot of media coverage, to be fair. Like, Bernie was really harshly covered by the same media outlets that are really harshly covering Biden now in the mainstream. Like the whole, like calling Bernie misogynistic because he's running against like Elizabeth Warren and argued a point with her, and you had like CNN calling it mansplaining and shit. Who remembers that? Those same people are the ones now saying Biden is too old to be fit for president and convincing the American people, at least the people who were polled in these pre-election pollings at like supposedly an 8 to 3 or 8 to 2 rate that Biden is not fit. I don't remember that at all. You don't remember the narrative about Bernie being misogynistic because of Warren? You don't remember that narrative? That was like part of the reason why there was actually some, like, at the time, what I thought was salt to the idea that maybe Bernie had the primary stolen from him, legitimately stolen, like electoral interference stolen, you know? No, I do. I don't remember that. Please don't remind me. I'm still grieving.
So why? Because we're against corporate power. Wow,
it's because they're not popular. Wow, mainstream media likes popular candidates? That's unbelievable.
No. Mainstream media loves corporate politicians like you do. You think that corporate donations are awesome.
Well, why is he not, like, is he wishing right past the point that, like, Obama beat Hillary in the primary? So was Obama more corporate establishment than Hillary? Was she not back then? Like it's just there's it really does feel like there are just types of people who can't accept that their candidate lost, and they go insane coming up with a web of reasons and excuses to be a piece of shit from then on out, you know, and Cenk Uygur did that.
And we should live under corporate rule, yay, right? But the reality is that's how they skew the voting base, and they get older people who watch cable news to go, oh my God, they said Bernie Sanders is going to lose, even though Bernie Sanders has a much bigger lead against Donald Trump than Hillary Clinton did in every poll for a year straight. Mainstream media 100% lied about that to make sure that Hillary Clinton won. Okay. And then you go, oh yeah, that's a fair con.
That might be true, but at the same time, why didn't Bernie win the primary though? Like, okay. So if the narrative is that the media is on Biden's side, which is what he's claiming, it's not, but his narrative is that the media is on Biden's side and that it's favorable to Biden and they're trying to get their corporate Biden elected, right? If the media is doing the same thing for Biden this time, supposedly, according to him, why wouldn't it repeat? Why wouldn't we have the same repeat in this election? Why can't they cheat the election away from Trump like they did Bernie? It's just populist bullshit.
Contest when we have the entire media on our side. Sure, you can pretend anything you like.
Okay.
Well, the entire media was against Donald Trump, and he still won his election. So, I mean, like, what is it? Does the media, pick the candidate, or is it sometimes they help, and sometimes they hurt, even trying to hurt? Like,
look at your arguments. Look at your arguments.
He made like the reverse of my argument. Like you know how you could say, I like waffles the most, and that could mean I like pancakes less as well. Like I said, I like waffles most, and he said I like pancakes less, basically, is what his argument was. The other side of my point. Like, if the media is rigged for Biden, doesn't that mean Biden will doesn't that mean Biden will win? When I said that, like, if the media is rigged, or he said if the media is rigged in favor of Trump, then or against Trump, doesn't that mean he'll lose? Yeah, like, it doesn't follow. Like, his own logic doesn't follow. The things they harken back to as examples that sound like something that backs up their point, the second you think about it for long enough, you remember a thing they forgot about that, and when it's brought back up, the entire argument falls apart.
Arguments. You said, so we acknowledge 2016 Republicans had a chaotic, total mess.
You'll notice, by the way, that, like, we've yet to get a single actual argument out of Cenk, and he just starts raving and screaming. Supposedly Vosh isn't down to do the debate, but I want to see myself, since this is partially like part of that debate prep I wanted to do. Like, it wasn't going to be like a harsh debate. Me and Vosh have debated before. Like, it doesn't, I don't know why he immediately assumed it would be like me jumping down his throat or something. Let's see, what'd he say?
This is binary. It's black and white.
Jesus Christ.
You are either with
audio, that's not me.
You can be out here arguing on TV, or you can be in the streets doing the work. I don't think all of y'all are about that work, right?
Dang.
Ethan,
am I to assume this is like a transparent, like, getting attention, we need views thing?
No, my views are actually up. If you look at my social blade, I've actually hit a really big bump in the last couple weeks, believe it or not. I actually just disagreed, and I'm down to have like a friendly conversation about it.
I don't understand. I
feel like I'm the more consistent one here, right? Like, my take has been really consistently like behind Biden, right? Like, going back to 2019. Like, I'm behind the Democrat nominee, right? And that ended up being Biden. And I was against the Bernie or Busters. I covered Biden with criticism. I've criticized his gun takes. I've criticized his handling of Israel-Gaza as being far from ideal. I've criticized him, but I've also done a lot to look into his policy and his work as president and cover it. I feel like you can really easily just see, like, my takes in 2019 and my takes now, and it's like, okay, that's about right. That's what I expect from Zan. And then see my, like, Vosh's takes from 2019 or 2020 and his takes now on Biden, now, like, just a couple months from the election, and it's like, I feel like you could see, like, I don't feel like this setup should lead one to believe this is some kind of like clout farm. And to be fair, I get why he would think that. I am a smaller creator. He has more clout. But, you know, he's also a friend of mine who is relevant in this space, and it's been sort of like a thing that's occasionally come up about his coverage, and there's been a lead up to this. This wasn't just like, got fired, but not even trying to burn the bridge. Xanderhall, gun takes of Vosh have you criticized? I've heard him encourage his audience to get armed. No, I agree with Vosh on guns. What do you mean? Wait, no, that's like, what are you talking about? Me and Vosh agree, I think, like 1-to-1 on guns. We both own guns. We both love guns. I'm pretty certain the gun thing is not a disagreement. What gun do I own? Well, right behind me, I have a 223 air rifle. I forget what it's from. And then right there is a Glock 19. A Gen 5. Anyway.
I have a fuzzy memory in the best of times. I feel like I distinctly recall Xanderhall having the faculties necessary to comprehend the difference between, you know, this is a criticism of the Democrats and of Biden meant to facilitate a better chance of beating Trump versus, like, whatever the fuck the right wing is cooking when they criticize Biden.
I mean, the right wing has been criticizing Biden for being mentally unfit to be president primarily. Like, where did that start? It's sped up. It's sped up, yeah.
Like you think I'm a right winger? I'm like making videos on Trump and Epstein being the best of friends, touching.
Well, no. I know you're not a right winger. That's why it's weird that you're covering Biden, the only other candidate, so harshly. If you were a right winger, it would my criticisms would not be, here are a bunch of things that I know you would like Biden did. Did you know he did that? I feel like that's relevant. Like, why would my arguments be tailored to be towards someone who presumably wants Trump to lose? All my arguments have been tailored. I don't. Okay, he knows. I'm sure he figures it out. Like, maybe he watches more and hears like more of my take.
Tips on the island? Come on, silly.
Vosh and I went and shot guns in real life. Like, Ethan has hung out with me and Vosh in real life, so he was like, dude, this is sad, man. Like, I've hung out with this guy. It feels like this is some cringe he's uploading.
What are we talking about, man? Why do I even bother getting along with people when this is the inevitable outcome of every person?
Dog. This feels. Am I being like uncouth here? Am I not allowed to just say like I hung out with Vosh IRL? I think he's a chill guy. We're cool. Like, that's literally what I'm saying there. It's like I'm talking about Ethan telling me he noticed Vosh A/B testing his thumbnails to try and see if like the anti-Biden thumbnails got more views. That's what A/B testing is for. And like they added it recently, and Ethan noticed because he's my editor and told me, and that was part of what led to this. Because it's like it seems like a very heavy emphasis on the anti-Biden lately.
To maintain like a semi-friendly relationship with.
Also, like, to be clear, by the way, I haven't heard. Also, they're probably thinking Ethan means like Ethan Klein, by the way. Like Vosh's chat does not know me and they don't like me. So I'm pretty certain they think I'm talking about Ethan Klein or something, and they're going to go on a rant about how awful Ethan Klein is. Like, almost certainly. They certainly don't know that he's my editor that knows what A/B testing is and stuff. Yeah, it just, I don't know. He was
Biden lost the debate. Should they just replace Biden? Biden's biggest allies wanted to rock out. Supreme Court was hatred of homeless killing this country. Trump granted total presidential immunity. Biden needs to drop out. Yeah, I want Biden to drop out. Why would the right want Biden to drop out? They're confident in beating him.
The confidence in beating him does not mean the right is going to beat him. Like, we literally, did we not make fun of like everybody? Did we not make fun of Tim Pool? Or why are we Tim Pooling? We're Tim Pooling is what we're doing here. Don't Tim Pool. Where's the video? Let me find it. Yeah,
I
here
think
it is.
Kamala and Biden might be throwaway candidates. They know they're going to get steamrolled in the election. I really don't see the Democrats winning this. I think it's fair to say Trump's going to win re-election. I think Trump might have a massive, massive victory, which shocks the left. I think we're looking at a Trump victory, man. Trump 2020 landslide, even with everything going on with COVID. I think that's what we can expect. I wouldn't be surprised at all if Trump had a 49-state landslide. I think we could see a 49-state landslide. We may be looking at a Mondale-Reagan type scenario where Trump...
Now, I'm not comparing Vosh to Tim Pool in the sense, like, because Tim Pool's Tim Pool's a grifting right-winger. That's not the point of comparison. The point of comparison is the, like, hardcore, immediate, like, jumping to the assumption of winning. They're doing this again. The Republicans are doing this. And at the same time, a lot of progressives, Vosh too, are doing this, where it's like, but it's the doomer end of it. Like, they think Trump is destined to win, parentheses bad, you know? Like, I know Vosh doesn't want Trump to win. I don't think he's a grifter, but I also don't think this is the most effective way to make Trump not win. You know, like
this hasn't even gotten to the shit that I'm saying yet.
My buddy documents live stream joking a little too much.
Obviously not. It does not mean you are pro-Trump to point out the unviability of the current Democratic frontrunner for the presidency.
Unviability when Trump is the only other candidate? Yes, that is the reality. But yeah, it does make you pro-Trump in this situation.
Wait. What?
Yeah, not being willing to put your support behind Biden when it is Biden or Trump, and we are in the final run-up to the election season, making your channel, like, seemingly the dedicated Biden hate spot, does in fact seem like, if one were to follow your actions without knowing you, might seem that way. Yes, that's why I'm so confused. Like, if this wasn't confusing to me, we would be having a very different conversation, you know?
Oh, wait, okay, like, is this a grifting? Like, genuine question. This is, like, incredible.
Oh, no. Is he just straight up gonna jump to accusing me of grifting? When, like, despite being unable to find a reason, like, a actual reason why he would hold these positions, I've not accused him of that? Mind you, by the way, I've not spoken to Vosh since the Keffels thing. Like, at the very least, like, Vosh just chilled out while Keffels was, like, dragging my name through the mud, using his name for a while. And then she got outed as a scammer who scammed, like, $100K from her audience or something. You implied he was grifting? No, I didn't. No.
Incredibly easy 101.
Also, I don't imply people are grifting. I accuse them of being grifters. When have I ever implied someone was a grifter? Seriously. When do I imply that someone's a grifter? When have I ever shied away from going nuclear on another left-wing figure in this space because I think that they might be grifting some bullshit or just dumb or like a woke scold or just like burn your bus? When have I ever held back and implied these things, like, snakily? I always come out with, like, a big, this person is a dumb fuck type video, you know? I think I remember a while ago of him being unsure where you two stand after the folder thing, but not having issues at the time. I didn't, like, shit talk him for the folder thing. I don't know why he'd assume that I like, am gonna nuke the bridge. Like, he hasn't done anything to hurt me prior to this. I was just, looking at a disagreement.
Are we kidding? I want Biden to drop out and to be replaced with Kamala Harris, or if they could get Whitmer, I don't think they're going to get Whitmer, Kamala Harris to beat Trump. If Biden doesn't drop out, I want Biden to beat Trump. How is this? Please, this guy's a troglodyte, you don't have to take. It's weird, dude. No, you don't understand how many times this happens. I think people are halfway normal, and then when the winds blow and it becomes more convenient to dislike me, their IQ, their brain fucking blends itself into a smoothie, and the shit they say is so stupid that it just, like, Zan seems to...
So I guess he's not down for a debate. I think Balth was probably not lying when he said that that Vosh is not down for a debate. You know, man, I tried my best. I really did try my best to be as civil as possible, to just sort of, like, explain what led. Like, he skips through it and talks about it being weird and, like, just shows clips of it so his chat will probably think it's some non sequitur when I'm talking about, like, Ethan telling me about the A/B testing thing and whatnot. I mean, you saw how his chat was reacting. They probably thought I was talking about Ethan Klein. Like, it really does just seem like it was set up to... Like, I did my best to just legitimately, like, suggest, like, hey, we're cool, right? Can we have a conversation about this disagreement? Is it okay if I react to one of your videos and write down your argument so that I can come to you in good faith and challenge you on the things you said, point by point? I guess it's too much. I mean, I don't know. Maybe the debate still happens. This was sort of our little debate prep section of the stream. A good little multi-hour bit, but, you know, I figured I figured it'd be worth talking it out, but it is what it is. You were incredibly chill. Vosh was very anxious here. I feel like my I feel like I just don't put as much weight into the internet anymore as I used to. You know what I mean? Like, I can't even bring myself to be nervous about a debate anymore. Like, I just can't. Like, a stream, a debate, I don't get nervous about these things anymore. I always thought, like, how do you get to that point where debates don't make you nervous? But it's gotten to the point now where, I don't know, I've had a lot of real life experiences. I know people outside of like the internet, and it doesn't really seem like it's like super duper high, like, stakes, big deal. So it's like, I thought we could just chat it out and it'd be cool. I thought I could just, do the little bit of like research for said friendly debate. But I mean, I don't know. I'll try to talk to him in private, maybe, if he's up for it. I doubt he will be. Maybe he messaged me. Let me check. Did he? No, it does not seem so. Yeah, probably not. Regardless, though, it is what it is. I haven't really spoken to a lot of these folks since the Keffels thing anyway, so it's not really it's not the end of the world if Vosh nukes the bridge. We haven't really... I don't think we have much audience sharing anymore, to be honest. I feel like that, like, my pro-Biden stuff has driven away those folks in Vosh's audience that really hate Biden. It doesn't hurt that you and your friend group have become profoundly offline. Yeah, I do like well, we communicate online, but offline in regards to, like, the world of internet shit, you know? Yeah. Regardless, though, like I said, I'm not burning the bridge here. This is very much just like, I disagree with me and Vosh have debated before, by the way. We debated Chris Chan at one point. We debated another thing, too. I don't remember what it was. And I think the consensus was that I won. What was it? What was the other thing we debated on, chat? Does anyone remember? Like, it wasn't like these aren't... We're not talking, like, insane screaming matches. Shuan had... No, it wasn't that. It was something else. I don't remember. It was like... Yeah, it was just friendly debates. Like, I don't know why he took it that hard. I don't know. War Penguin, thank you for the $5 dues. I appreciate it. Thank you. Says, hell is listening to RFK versus Cenk. True. Perry Icefire, thank you for the $5 dues. Says, honestly, seeing how you and other people debate is slowly teaching me how to keep my cool, especially when I have to deal with meeting new people in my server who have offensive takes. Oh, yeah, it's probably, just like very much my best bit of advice I've given is to do a bunch of debates with no audience and no stakes, and think about it like that, because that's, I mean, you have arguments all the time with your buddies, I'm sure, right? Like, which class is better in an MMO or something, you have like a friendly debate over it. I do that a lot with my friends. We're fine at the end of it, so it's like, you have arguments like that with no real stakes, and they teach you the real fundamental skills of debating, and that's really all you need. We sometimes have those in the PV server. Ooh, I should join. That sounds cool. I should join for some of those debates. Anyway, with all that said, that was a pretty good segment, I'd say. I hope that Vosh is down to talk it out and he doesn't just assume the worst. I don't even plan to have Vosh in the thumbnail or title of the segment that I did covering his stuff. The video was going to be titled something and thumbnailed something that wasn't even going to do well. My plan was to call it Biden is good and I'm tired of pretending he's not. And the thumbnail was going to be something along the lines of Biden, like, just standing there smiling. And as many policy things that like policy achievements that he's done that are like the biggest deal crammed into the side as you can while maintaining legibility. So this was not a video that was going to do well because it wasn't going to use Vosh's likeness. Like, you would have seen this video come up as just some new pro-Biden video. Like, the title and thumbnail wouldn't really give away that I'm talking about Vosh's takes on Biden there. I don't know. Like, if Vosh's take is really just the we should replace Biden as the current candidate, then I would like to have that conversation about why I think that's probably a bad idea. I don't think it's a good one. And I'd also like to have the conversation about the surprising lack, like the general lack, both in mainstream and like independent news media, the lack of attention given to Biden's accomplishments on a policy level. The hyper-focusing and sensationalism of Biden's health. You should put Vosh in the thumbnail? Nah. I mean, like, especially at this point, that would just kind of, like, look like it proves the point that he was making. But you guys can even watch the segment and see me say in that segment where I'm talking about Vosh that I plan to title it, Biden is good and I'm tired of pretending he's not. Like, the point is that Biden is good and the left has a bias against him, not that Vosh does. My point is that even Vosh does. That's the point. Perry Icefire, thank you for the $5, though. I do appreciate it. Thank you. You should call him out. He just wants the money. No, I don't think so. Well, I'll talk to him. Like, if his position is that Biden is too weak to beat Trump, that wouldn't indicate that he's just chasing money. You also cover Emma Vigilant in the segment. Oh yeah, I did cover her as well. Every time you do that second time, I get jump scared. Yeah, sorry. Well, hey, what's on your shirt? Oh. Dracula Flow. I pre-ordered this. It's from the official store. Yeah. Yeah, I know, I pre-ordered something. I'm so sorry, guys. But I got it, like, the day it came out. This shit ain't nothing to me, man. Did you see that EFAP fans are saying Mahler destroyed you because of your Rings of Power takes on EFAP highlight channel? Well, for one, like, Mahler's pretty much somebody I don't know if I'd ever want to engage with him unless the plan is to, like, antagonize the shit out of him. Because, for one, he's refused to debate me one-on-one. He'll only debate me if I go onto a show run by two right-wing hosts that's, like, favorable to them. And they end up being the moderators that control the conversation. So he won't actually come on stream and debate me. He wants to debate on, like, his territory, so to say, with him having the advantage. Because a big part of his whole bit is that he does not own up to the anti-woke thing. He tries to pretend at being like a somewhat impartial, apolitical content creator who just has a bit of a bone to pick with like this woke takeover of media that's ruining the storytelling. He's very cowardly when it comes to owning up to his politics, so you can't really challenge him on that. You can really only fuck with him, I think. So, yeah, I just have to figure out what would, I don't know, just go at him for being like a wannabe cinema critic. Dude calls movies films. Anyway, hopefully we can get some fun debates in the future. Some that are friendly. I'd like for the debate with Vosh to be friendly. Debates don't have to be like fucking nuking events, surprisingly. The internet will make you feel that any disagreement has to end in fire, but not necessarily. And I would love to troll Mahler at some point because I know he's a bad faith actor. I'd just fuck with him. Yeah, that's pretty much it. If you enjoyed this segment, please consider leaving a like. It really does help a lot. You guys have been boosting the hell out of the channel lately. It's been really nice. I really do appreciate it. Thank you to everyone who's been doing that. And of course, do not forget, if you want to see more from me, follow my social medias, subscribe and ring the bell icon, join my Discord server, link down below in the description. It's totally free. It is the main hub of my community. I host game, call-in, and watch party events there. And And don't forget, on top of that, I announce all my new uploads and videos there, so if you don't want to miss that, then I highly recommend you go check that out. And of course, consider if you want to support me financially directly, you can always do so if you can afford it and feel like it by donating, subscribing, or gifting a sub on my website, or supporting me through YouTube, Twitch, Streamlabs, Stream Elements, or Patreon. With all that said, thank you so much for watching, and have a good one.